વિનોદકારી પલપન વિસરે નહીં જો વિસારી जुगल चरण सोल चिन्ह जेह नजर समीपे रहो हमारी एह नजर समीपे रहो हमारी एह घनश्याम महाराजनी जय, हरिकृष्ण महाराजनी जय, स्वामीनारायण भगवाननी जय. Supreme Almighty, our beloved Ghanshyam Maharaj, the pathmaker to our liberation, our utmost dear Puja Guruji, Puja Santo, and all of you Bhaktos, Jai Swaminarayan. During this week, there were two questions that came from a devotee that wanted to be answered here on live. So first we'll take these two questions, and then followed by that, a presentation regarding the power of words. Yuva course is officially over, so now regular presentations and kathavartas will start. So the first question by this devotee is, in Christianity, it states that humanity began when God placed Adam on earth. And then Adam was bored, so he placed Eve, and from that, humanity started. This is what Christianity has in its scriptures regarding how humanity was created. Now the question itself, what does the Hindu religion specifically say about the creation of humanity? How did our God, meaning Bhagwan Swaminarayan, put humans on earth? Now, this question goes back to ancient scriptures called the Vedas. The Vedas are the most ancient scriptures dated till this day on earth. There is no older scriptures or ancient scriptures than the Vedas. Hinduism is also known and considered to be the oldest religion in the world. There is no specific date when Hinduism started. But regarding this question, in our scriptures, not looking at science, but in our scriptures, there are countless universes, or called Brahmans. Now, Bhagwan Swaminarayan is beyond all these Brahmans, and his glory is even beyond that. Explaining that will take an hour. But, just to put it short, for each universe, Bhagwan has specifically assigned 3 of his agents to work. One of the agents, his name is Lord Brahma, is the creator of the universe. So he creates the universe in whatever is inside of it. The second agent is Vishnu, who sustains the creation. Nothing else happens. And third agent is Shiva, and is the destroyer of the whole universe. So these 3 agents, they talk with one another and they maintain each universe. Their whole sole purpose is to maintain the universe, create it, destroy it, however time it takes, whatever their process is, this is what they do. Now, there isn't only one universe, as I mentioned before, but there's countless universes. So there's countless of these agents. Now, you're probably asking, why is this point being mentioned? Well, Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. Now, here's the whole depiction of how humanity started according to the Hindu scriptures, according to the Vedas. Lord Brahma, these 3 demigods create, destroy, and sustain the universe as we know. Now, Manu refers to the first man and the spiritual son of Brahma. Now, Brahma sent Manu here on earth to create life, just like how Christianity has Adam. That's their belief. But according to Hinduism, Lord Brahma, when he wanted to create everything in the universe and on this earth, when he wanted to create humans, what he did was he sent Manu on this earth. According to the Purans, the first person on this earth is Manu. The Sanskrit term Manav, meaning a human, was derived from the name Manu, denoting his children. Manu was a son of Brahma and Saraswati. God created Shatarupa, the wife of Manu. These two are said to be the parents of the world, according to Hinduism. Now, pretty much just like how there's Adam and Eve, here, according to the Shastras, according to the scriptures, according to the oldest scriptures in the world, it was Manu and Shatarupa. These two were engaged, and from there, humanity started. But not to forget, Bhagwan Swaminarayan, without his wish, not even Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiv can even move a finger. So if you ultimately think about it, Bhagwan Swaminarayan is the one who created humans. But if we look at it from a technical aspect, from an aspect where one wants to really see the reason, if one wants to dissect what the exact specific reason is, how humanity came about, this is the very answer. But according to the Vachanamrut, Bhagwan Swaminarayan creates humans from even a drop of water, according to Gadara, 1st chapter, 27th. This is the first question. I hope this answer satisfies your question. The second question has two parts to it. How is it that Bhagwan Swaminarayan states that his devotees are opportune to immense happiness in this life and the afterlife, but people who are not religious and eat meat and drink even though they know they shouldn't are still happier and more successful? Now, that statement that this person has said was, Bhagwan Swaminarayan states, that's in the Shikshapatri. Bhagwan Swaminarayan states that my devotees, my asrits, will become happy not only in this world, but the world beyond by following the Shikshapatri, according to Bhagwan Swaminarayan's statement written in that slok. Now, the question at hand is that devotees of Swaminarayan are promised this, yet people who are not religious, they eat meat and drink even they shouldn't, they know, are still happier in this world. Well, there is approximately, if you look at it, 90% of the world does these kinds of acts. Now, if we go and look at everyone, then we'll never find our answer. But in Hinduism, we believe in karma. Karma and merits, we can say, actions, deeds, the good and the bad. Now, each and every soul has been traveling for innumerable time in various bodies of species, animals, humans, so on and so forth. Yet, this soul has not pretty much completed its cycle of life and death because it's not satisfied, it's still satisfied with the panch vishays or the worldly objects. When the soul attaches itself to Bhagwan, his bliss, Bhagwan's idol, his mukto, then only will the soul become liberated from this cycle of life and death and attain Akshardham. Knowing that point, the soul is traveling and traveling. Now, at times it may do good, at times it may do bad. We don't know from our past what kind of merits we have developed, and what deeds we have done. Yes, we have received Bhagwan Swaminarayan due to the grace of an Ekantik Satpurush or Bhagwan's direct grace from the past. That's why we are in satsang currently. But that does not mean that those past merits that may have been wrong or not according to Bhagwan's wish, we won't have to completely, you can say, nullify. Or we won't have to, we won't have to bhogo na pade. Due to that, this question is all on purvanupunya. The past merits, however they are, they all determine this life. It's going to determine your social life. It's going to determine your financial life. It's going to determine your work opportunities. It's going to determine your education, everything. It all depends on the past. Now, nonetheless, Bhagwan Swaminarayan does state that my devotees will become happy in this world and the world beyond. We have to think, how long have I been a devotee of Bhagwan Swaminarayan? Number one. Number two, as a householder devotee, how many rules stated in the Shiksha Patri am I abiding by? Number three, if I've only been satsang for 5, 10, 15 years, is that the end? Is my life over? No. Patience is a virtue. Bhagwan Swaminarayan, whatever he has stated, has never gone wrong and will never go wrong. But this human mind does not have the capacity to calculate Bhagwan's equations. Due to that, it kind of interprets right away, instantly, or thinks that due to this, this is this. Or the equation to this, the answer to this equation is this. But Bhagwan's calculations are beyond comprehension. So, again, Bhagwan will make whoever follows his Shiksha Patri according to his standards happy in this world and the world beyond. But patience is a virtue. Right now, we may think that, my life is like this, or, people in the world are doing this, this, and this, and they're still happier and more successful. But Bhagwan has plans for us to make us even more happy and more successful. But whatever he plans will never go wrong, and however he plans will never fail. Thinking about that in that regards, if one understands Bhagwan to be the all-doer and whatever he's doing is for my benefit, then there is no way, however, whatever circumstance one has to go through, that a question would arise that these people are doing this and I'm actually a devotee, yet why is my life like this? By understanding Bhagwan Swaminarayan to be the all-doer, automatically this question will go away. The second half, or the second part of this question is, for example, a Swaminarayan devotee will not land a certain job even if they are more qualified, but a Hindu who breaks all the dharma rules instead gets the job. Well, there's a couple things to that. Right now, we may think that, this is happening, but who knows, how can we calculate inside of our mind that Bhagwan has even a better job lined up for us? How can we say that this is the job that I wanted and I didn't get, and this person who doesn't follow dharma got it, and that's it? How can I put a period at the end after my very statement that I have questioned for? The answer to your question is that there's a couple of examples that came about in researching that I would like to share. What is this regarding? Well, setting some kind of goal that I was supposed to get this, but I didn't get it. So this person doesn't even follow rules. How did they get it? Well, sometimes missing an opportunity is actually beneficial, because in the future, it may save us or even give us a better opportunity. Number one example is of 9/11. On 9/11, 2001, planes crashed into the Twin Towers, and two planes. Now, there was one man working in one of the towers for approximately 30 years. This is a true story. Who worked on the 40th floor of that building, and he commuted from New Jersey on a train, and every day he came time to time. He worked and completely, did a fantastic job and went back home. Now, the day of 9/11, the first time in 30 years, he missed his train to go to New York. So immediately he emailed his boss and said, I've missed my train. I'm going to take the next one. Please understand. Please forgive me. The boss, obviously, looking at his reputation of 30 years, he has never missed a day, said, of course, no problem. Take your time. Immediately knowing that his workplace needed him, he got on the next train to go to New Jersey, or from New Jersey to go to New York. And once he got off the station, he saw on approximately the 40th tower, one of the planes had crashed and the building was smoking. Now, if that man became regretful and said, in 30 years, I have never missed one single day, and why, God, today did you have to break my record? He did not mourn, or he did not cry, or he didn't say why. He didn't question, but he accepted it and immediately emailed his boss. But not knowing what the situation ahead was, when he saw the smoke, he thanked God, because he understood that God had him miss that very train because he wanted him to live more on this earth. That plane crashed exactly on that 40th floor where that man worked. What would have happened to him? Looking at solutions like this can help and change the way you perceive life, the way you perceive the world, the way you perceive each and every action you do, so that there is no way that even if the most adverse circumstance comes your way, you can still understand that Bhagwan is doing it and he has something better planned for me in the future. So I should not worry, I should wait. The second example is of Abdul Kalam, who is a former president of India, who passed away a couple of years ago. Now, Abdul Kalam, actually when he was young, wanted to join the military Air Force. And what had happened was that he was trying so hard, but just by a thread, he missed the rank of becoming a fighter pilot jet, or a fighter pilot. And due to that, instead of mourning, instead of becoming very, very sad, he actually became motivated. And through his motivation that sparked from inside, he became the president of India. And all of the three parts of the armies, the army, navy, all of them, they saluted him then. They saluted him after he became president. Now, if he had just passed his exam or whatnot and became a fighter pilot jet engineer person, he would not have gotten a chance to become president. But since God, on purpose, we can say, had him miss that opportunity, he got motivated and became the president of India. So, in short, whatever God is doing, he is doing for our benefit, whether we know it whether we do not know it, it does not matter. It all matters on keeping faith in God and becoming blind. Becoming blind in the purpose of not looking at exactly what God is doing, but understanding that whatever God is doing is for my benefit. Nonetheless, Avachnamrut, to completely cap off this question, Gadara, first chapter 70th, Bhagwan Swaminarayan states for his devotees, if a person who practices satsang were to face the suffering of being executed on a shuli is pretty much a stake. We can say wooden stake, a very long wooden stake, maybe 3 or 4 feet high. And it's a very old way of executing people. But Bhagwan is giving an example that if one who practices satsang, meaning a devotee, were to face the suffering of being executed on a shuli, it would be reduced to the pain of a mere thorn prick. Now Bhagwan is now saying what he has promised to his devotees. The pain of a shuli. Now a shuli, or a stake we can call it, what they used to do back in the day was they would have that stake which was 3 or 4 feet high, and they would take a person by his arms on one side, another person would take the legs, and they would lift the person, and that very sharp point of the stake, it would be like this, and the person's belly button, that area, would be placed on the stake, and then they would turn the person. This is a form of execution that was done. Imagine the pain, the nerves, the veins, because the belly button has all the veins and nerves connected in that very central area. And imagine that pain of a person turning and all those veins and all those nerves kind of going into a swirl. Now, compared to that pain, take a thorn and just prick yourself. Big difference, right? What is Bhagwan saying? After all, I have asked of Ramanand Swami, if your satsangi is destined to suffer the distress inflicted by the sting of one scorpion, may the distress of the stings of millions and millions of scorpions befall each and every pore of my body, but no pain should afflict your satsangi. Moreover, if the begging bowl is written in the prarabdha, meaning destiny, of your satsangi, may that begging bowl come to me, but on no account should your satsangi suffer from the lack of food or clothing. Please grant me these 2 boons or wishes. I asked this of Ramanand Swami, and he happily granted it to me. Bhagwan is saying this, he is talking about his history. Therefore, even if worldly miseries are destined to befall anyone practicing satsang, they do not. Bhagwan Swaminarayan is saying. Now, in the end, suppose we don't have anything. By becoming a devotee of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, you'll never go hungry and you'll never go without any clothing. It's kind of like when you enroll for the SATs and then come to take the exam, automatically by writing your name, you get 600 points. Doesn't matter what name you write. It doesn't matter if you write a couple of words. But automatically, those points, those 600 points are yours out of the 1,800. In the same way, automatically by becoming a devotee of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, you pretty much are destined for these 2 things. And the pain that was going to come in the form of Shree would be coming in the form of a thorn prick. So even if we don't get the job opportunity, or even if we don't get what we want, it doesn't necessarily mean that satsang is unfair, or God is unfair, or God is judging, God is being biased. But in reality, God is actually looking at your future and thinking about what is best for my devotee in 5, 10, 15 years that will keep satsang here, and also this person will stay happy on this earth and the earth beyond. This is what Bhagwan and his great Satpurush are always looking at, because the worst thing to do is to screw up one's liberation, ultimate liberation, getting out of the cycle life and death, over just getting a mere job. Bhagwan or a Satpurush cannot compromise this very factor. That's why you see devotees that are medium class or even low class, but they're happy, they're satisfied. The world may not look at them as satisfied. The world may think that these devotees are, or these people are poor. But in the eyes of Bhagwan Swaminarayan and his Ekantik Satpurush, these are souls that are bound to attain Akshardham. So I hope these answers answer your question. If there's any more, please do feel free to email at loyadhamnj@gmail.com. We do have some time, so there's a presentation that I would like to come and share with all of you today regarding the title of the presentation is The Power of Words. Now, as all of you know, words or speech have the power to break bones. The tongue has no bones, but it has the power to break bones through the speech. A person's character can be measured by his speech as well. Now, all of you who are there at home, you're probably wondering that, a presentation on speech, but speech is one of the most important characteristics to identify a person and to also know that person's integrity. Now, everyone has the freedom to use words, but some give speeches like Martin Luther King. I have a dream speech. Yes, everyone was bound to use whatever words they can. Words are open to everyone, but ordering certain words in certain order gives a different effect compared to people who say very harsh things, may even go to jail. But such kind of speeches, like with such kind of great leaders of the world, they did it through their character, nonetheless of the power of the words they used. So this is a presentation regarding this. Now, this is kind of like a science experiment. Maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't. I don't know. But this presentation's main sole purpose is for one's perspective to change regarding using words, regarding saying certain things at certain time. That's also very, very important. Now, experiment 1. As you can see here, there's going to be a video that's going to be shown right after this clip, but I would like to intro Dr. Emoto. Dr. Masaru Emoto is a Japanese author and a scientist who said human consciousness has an effect on molecular structure of water. His several books were the best New York Times seller in 2004. He passed away just a couple years ago. But Dr. Emoto, he performed an experiment, and he tested to see if words can affect the behavior of rice. Now, that's kind of weird, but can words affect rice? Out of everything, rice. Now, the experiment that's going to be shown here, you'll understand completely. But just to give an insight, there's going to be 3 different controls, and from the controls, you'll be able to see practically And the narrator in the video will explain to you that this was said to this, this was said to this, and this was said to this. And from there, you'll be able to comprehend. But hold on to that question and think, can this really happen? Let's take a look at that video now. As you can see here, there's
Dr.
three different
Emoto has
controls.
conducted another interesting experiment. He placed rice into 3 glass beakers and covered it with water. And then every day for a month, he said, "Thank you" to one beaker, "You're an idiot" to the second, and the third one he completely ignored. After 1 month, the rice that had been thanked began to ferment, giving off a strong, pleasant aroma. The rice in the second beaker turned black, and the rice that was ignored began to rot. Dr. Emoto thinks that this experiment provides an important lesson, especially with regard to how we treat
Dr.
children. We should take care of them, give them attention, and converse with them. Indifference does the greatest harm.
Tell some dreamy story, but almost.
Pretty much he's explaining, and as you saw, the 3 beakers had the equal amount of rice by weight, the equal amount of water by liter, and pretty much what had happened was one person said good words, another person said bad words, and another person ignored the beaker. Next slide, please. Yeah, cause and effect. So you saw there's 3 different controls. Now, for every cause, there's an effect. Let's look at the cause. Now, control 1 had pleasant words that were spoken. Control 2 had harsh words that were spoken. And control 3 is completely ignored. Now, as you saw in the experiment, actually, there was an effect. For those who thought that nothing would happen, actually something did happen. If you want to try it at home, I recommend you do so. But this was done for 30 days on a consistent manner at a consistent time with very controlled variables for the water and rice, and the words were said the same. So if you can control everything, all the variables, go ahead and feel free to try it and see what happens. But this was an experiment that Dr. Emoto had performed, and these were the results. Now let's take a look at the effect. The effect. Control 1, growth and nice aroma, because pleasant words were spoken. Control 2, it was black and decayed because of harsh words. Control 3, it was black and moldy because it was ignored. Now from this, next slide please. From this, what do you think? Does rice have emotions? If so, then would this happen to everything? Now that's definitely a question to take at hand. But in reality, after all this time, does rice really have an affection? Is it the rice? Or is it the water? Or is it the words? What is it that is giving 3 different results in 3 controlled variables? What is the reason for that? It's something to ponder upon, because these kinds of experiments don't really happen. And if they do, there is no kind of result that comes out of it. But scientifically, Dr. Emoto wanted to see, does the human have some kind of relation with words? Can this happen to humans inside? We'll look at really shortly in a future video. But if so, what are the results? Next slide, please. Before we get to that video, I'd like to talk a little bit about our speech. Harmful words versus helpful words. something that we can actually change in our life as needed. May it be in our school, may it be in our home environment, may it be with our friends. Harmful words versus helpful words. Think about how much it feels to be encouraged instead of being bashed with harsh words. Now, everyone has been through this. May it be in the first grade, your teacher commending you for getting a perfect score, or may it be a bully calling you idiot and dropping your books. Both of these kinds of environments have been experienced by most of us who have grown up here in the United States. From that, think about it. Does it affect my inside? It's obvious, yes. Everyone likes to be encouraged. Everyone likes to have good words thrown at them, said to them. May it be in a conversation, may it be in just a social, you can say, event, environment, may it be any place. But pleasant words are something that we're always looking forward to hearing. May it be at the nighttime, may it be in the morning time. But our human genetics or DNA is just kind of mastered in that kind of fashion. Compared to bashful words or words that break our self-esteem, those words make us do something that we're not supposed to. Those kinds of words actually affect our psychological thinking, where we are bound to do this, and instead we were bound to become a doctor, but we heard so much bad, harsh, negative words that you'll never become a doctor. Who do you think you are? You don't have the brains to become a doctor. I mean, can everyone become a doctor? You have to be smart. Look at this boy. He is very smart. That's why he can become a doctor. Such kind of continuous bashful words may actually end up with that future doctor becoming doctor, instead of that, him becoming a criminal, or him becoming someone that hates the world. It can happen. It has happened, and it will happen. Such kind of words that people live with from a young age during that nurturing period, and however one is raised, that's how one's mentality, one's psychology, one's perspective towards the world is actually developed. A nurturing environment has great effects on the growth of a child. That is proven in psychology, Sigmund Freud, and it is actually true. But according to Swaminarayanism, our religion, our Puja Guruji and Santo always encourage parents, if one is bound to have a child, always listen to Kathavarta more, listen to Dhun, listen to Kirtans, listen to these various kinds of peaceful, spiritual hymns and scriptures and Kathavarta and so on and so forth. So not only that mother hears those words, but the child inside hears such kind of words, and through those words, when that child is born, we can see the radiance. Through when that child is born also, Guruji and Santos encourage parents to whisper Swaminarayan, Swaminarayan, Swaminarayan in the ear of that baby, maybe in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon time, every single day. Why? What is the reason for that? If that baby hears Bhagwan's name, the Leela Charitras of Bhagwan, the Kathavarta performed by a Satpurush, then those words mold that Atma, that soul, into a great being in the future. That's why Bhagwan and his Ekantik Satpurusha's vision is always on the future of each and every soul. All they want to do is join one with God. But in order for that process to occur, it makes their life very easy if a religious environment was given at birth or at a very young age to a child. May it be male, may it be female. It doesn't matter. But such kind of a religious environment molds one's soul, molds one's mentality in such a fashion that when one becomes older, one does not feel that one wants to go out and indulge in parties and drink alcohol and do things that one is not supposed to. One feels that it's Saturday, I should come to Mandir, I should go to Mandir, perform Sant Samagam, perform the darshan of Bhagwan, so on and so forth, do seva in Mandir, because I am a satsangi of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Two different perspectives completely develop. Compared to that environment where at such a young age, bad music is heard, swearing between parents, bickering, fighting between parents is always occurring. That kind of environment 100% damages the psychology of the child. And due to that, that child's future goes to disaster. Then what can one do? That's why, for this presentation, speech, the power of words is very important for Swaminarayan devotees. Off of this experiment, we're right now determining in our mind that it is actually better to say good words instead of bad from Dr. Emoto's experiment. But the main point is, what does Bhagwan Swaminarayan think? What does his Ekantik Satpurush think? How does Bhagwan Swaminarayan want us to behave in the manner of speech? How does the Ekantik Satpurush want us to, what words he wants us to say and what words he does not want us to say? That's the perspective of a satsangi that should be developed. Moving on to experiment 2. Water is the element of life. What roles do you think water plays? Now, obviously water plays the role of life. I mean, even scientists, when they want to explore outside of the galaxy for planets, for planets that humans can habitat in the future, they look for one element out of all of the elements in the periodic table. They look for one element first, and that's H2O, or water, because water is the source of life. Bhagwan Swaminarayan has just made it that way, and it is just what it is. But first, let's take a look at this video, and from that, we'll discuss. That's fine. This is another experiment by Dr. Emoto, as you can see here.
Looking. This next series of photographs are the work of Japanese researcher Mr. Masaru Emoto from his book, The Message from Water. Mr. Emoto's work provides factual evidence that human vibrational energy, thoughts, words, ideas, and music affect the molecular structure of water. Please remember that water comprises over 70% of a mature human body and covers the same amount on our planet. Water is the very source of all life. This photo shows the beautifully formed geometric design of the Yushi Spring water. This next photo is from the Shimanto River, the last clean spring in Japan. Notice the extraordinary geometric forms. The fact that the molecular structure of water can be affected by our consciousness, our intent, and our sounds is extremely important. This photo is from the Mount Cook Glacier in New Zealand. Mr. Emoto has been visually documenting these molecular changes in water by means of his photographic techniques. He freezes droplets of water, then examines them under a dark field microscope that has photographic capabilities. His work clearly demonstrates the diversity of the molecular structure of water and the effects of the environment upon the structure of the water. This photo is from the fountain in Lourdes, France. This photo is from contaminated water from the Yodo River in Japan. In this photo we can compare the contaminated water with clean stream water. Look at the difference. Mr. Emoto decided to see what effects music would have upon the structure of water. He placed distilled water between two speakers for several hours while playing different music and then photographing the crystals that formed after the water was frozen. This photo is of water being exposed to Beethoven's Pastorale. This photo is the effect of Bach's air for the G-string on the water. This photo is water exposed to Chopin's Farewell Song. This next photo is water being exposed and affected to music that was designed for healing. This photo is of water being exposed to the Kawachi folk dance. This photo shows the effect of heavy metal music upon the water. Here now we can compare the effects of healing versus heavy metal music and what happens to the water molecules. Mr. Emoto decided to see how thoughts and words affected the formation of untreated distilled water crystals by typing words onto paper and then taping this paper onto glass bottles overnight. This photo shows the effects of the words, "Thank you." This next photo shows the effects of the words love and appreciation. This photo shows the effects of the words, "You make me sick, I will kill you." And here we can compare the effects of thank you with the "you make me sick, I will kill you." Very, very different geometric forms being incurred through the intention. Now this photo is of a very polluted and toxic water from the Fujiwara Dam. Here now is the same water from the Fujiwara Dam after a Buddhist monk had offered a prayer over it. Prayer, that sound coupled with intention, seems to have an extraordinary ability of restoring water to its natural, harmonious, geometric symmetry. And in this photo we can compare the toxic water and then the effects of praying over the water. It's really quite impressive. These photographs that we have just seen show proof that not only does sound have the ability of affecting and changing physical structure, but that with regard to the molecular structure of water, that our intent with our sound is extremely important. This may have great implications for the future of both personal and planetary harmony and healing.
From this video, all of you saw that water is actually one of the most essential parts, or if not the most essential part of human life, and how behavior of water can be affected by words, music, after it's frozen. Dr. Emoto proved his point from this experiment, and yes, he did conclude that there is an effect on a molecular level of water and how words affect it, and Off of that, he took many, many different variables from dams, rivers, streams, all kinds of forms of water, and he exposed it to heavy metal music, as you read, Beethoven, Mozart, beautiful symphonies, saying thank you, saying I hate you, you make me sick, I want to kill you. All these different kinds of words were shared, and off of that, we saw that the crystallization formation after the development or the shape of the crystals varied very much. And the water that was exposed to very, very cruel words or very, very heavy music, their crystal was not shaped compared to the beautiful music, the pleasing words. The crystal was very shaped nicely in the form of a star. From this, Dr. Emoto did prove his point. And from that, we would like to take a look at the next slide, the world's views towards our speech. People like and dislike others off of their speech. Speech is one of the best ways to identify a person, his intelligence, his behavior, his morality. Whatever is in you, in your mind, comes into a form through your speech. Now, simply stating, Bhagwan Swaminarayan's whole method, whole perspective, his view is based off of these points. But I want to specifically tell you some Vachanamruts so that you actually grasp the point. The point is not the experiment. The experiment is just to kind of scientifically prove that water does have an effect on the human body, because more than 60% of the human body is of water. And by someone saying something harshly to another person, imagine at a molecular level what is going on inside of that person's body. Nonetheless, the emotions that the person is going through, and pretty much that person has been hurt, and due to that, why is this person's mentality completely changed? Well, it is due to your words, your harsh words. That's why changing our speech is something that Bhagwan Swaminarayan encourages in the Vachanamrut. Let's take a look at a couple of Vachanamruts, and from there we'll end this presentation. Shree Maharaj's views. According to Gadada, 1st chapter, 62nd Vachanamrut, one should not pain even the smallest being, because God dwells inside of the heart of all. Bhagwan Swaminarayan has said this. Well, how can someone pain someone? Yes, by physically doing something, by kicking someone, by punching someone, yes. But more than that, the tongue does not have any bones, but it has the power to break all the bones in the body. Because of this one very factor, because of missing this very factor of not hurting anyone through one's speech. Nonetheless, in the Vachanamrut Sarangpur 2nd, Bhagwan Swaminarayan states, one should not hurt any living being with one's speech. Some people have a very rough form of speech. How can it be eradicated, or how can it be destroyed? Well, according to the Vachanamrut Loya 8th, Bhagwan Swaminarayan says, the overactivity of one's speech can be eradicated by not interrupting one's wise remarks with wise remarks when people like Muktanand Swami are speaking. Moreover, if one does happen to interrupt, one should turn the rosary 25 times, meaning do 25 maras. This is all depending on if your speech is rough where you're trying to attack someone, or if you are interrupting someone. In this way, Bhagwan shows such kinds of methods. So, kids, and all of you youths who are watching, whatever you say does affect a person's heart, emotion, mentality, perspective, psychology, whatever you want to call it. And due to that, that person does or may become good or bad off of the words you give that person. But more than that, the most important, Bhagwan Swaminarayan's perspective, in each and every person's heart, God resides. So do not hurt anyone. If one remembers this one very sentence, then one will always speak pleasant words instead of bashful words, and one will always be encouraging to others. So this is the presentation regarding the power of words and how it can affect one's life, according to an experiment performed by a Japanese scientist by the name of Dr. Emoto. And from that, proving Bhagwan Swaminarayan's perspective and view on how one's speech should be. Saying this, my humble Jai Swaminarayan.